I hope you're not getting tired of our intro music. Are you?
I'm not. I love it.
Welcome back, and we love you for tuning in this Sunday afternoon. This Sunday afternoon, the penultimate live session of the EU versus virus matchathon.
So how can academia, businesses, and public sectors work together, Matt? That's the question for this call, right?
It is the question for this call because we've had a lot of interesting speakers talking from different domain areas, right? So we just had a great talk. If you haven't seen it, go back in the video library. Honestly, that's a Sunday evening entertainment for any would-be entrepreneur, any entrepreneur actually at any stage.
We just interviewed Adam from Prezi, co-founder of Prezi. So we got to hear all the journey from 2009. So quite interesting.
3.5 billion views, 100 million users, raised almost 80 million euros in funding. So he shared his insights in the beginning of how to build a team, thinking about complementary skill sets and the core value that they all held. But that's not the session.
Also, but I wanted to say, we actually had the best presentation I have seen during these live streams because you could see the whole of him, but you could also see like the presentation just like going around him, you know?
Well, that begs the question because, you know, we're doing a live virtual stream right now, right? And a lot of our presenters have shared slides, but sharing slides means that, you know, that slides have to go in the biggest bit of the screen.
Yeah, and you become like this
little in the corner, person, like pointing up at your slides.
And you just hear the voice, and it's not that entertaining. But
it's not engaging. It's not engaging. And he mentioned something really interesting, which was the human element of presenting is the best, right? So his company has provided slides for TED conferences, right? So the famous TED and TEDx's, and you know, when the TED videos come out online, they don't focus on the presentation, they focus on the people.
Yeah.
It's all about the human aspect. So that's an interesting learning, which I urge you to go check out that presentation and that live stream a little bit later or whenever you have the time. A really interesting one. But that's not what we're talking about tonight, is it?
No, it's how academia, businesses, and private sectors, public sectors can work together to fight COVID-19 and how they're going to work together after COVID-19.
Let's kick things off then.
Yes, let's do that. Let's start with Hila. Hila, I need to hear you introduce yourself as well with the name so I can pronounce it correctly. But our first question and only question for you today is, how can public sectors and businesses and academia work together?
Thank you. So my name is Hila, Lifshitz, but since it's such a hard name, so I go by H. It may sound funny, but I have I'm Dr. H.
Dr. You called me Y the other
I call her
day.
Y
so
sometimes because her name is bloody difficult.
What's
up, Y?
So some of my students just say Professor H, Dr. H, because my email is h@NYU, so I kind of just made it easy because my name is indeed too hard. Yes. So how to make this collaboration? So I have good news and bad news about kind of how to collaborate across these institutions based on my experience and my research. So the good news that it is indeed possible. My research is around new ways of organizing for innovation, and I've seen that it is indeed possible even to reach scientific breakthrough if we dismantle the boundaries between academia, business, and the private sector. And there are the technologies, there are a wide variety, as you mentioned just now, of different technologies that can help us. So crowdsourcing platforms, we saw the hackathon, the amazing matchathon that we are now in the midst of. We saw the use of Slack and other technologies to use it. So that's the good news, that technologies are there to help us dismantle those boundaries. The bad news is there are other reasons why these boundaries still exist. And some of them have to do with our professional incentives, how we are measured in our different organizations, and our professional identity. So the incentives, I see a lot of change in COVID times. So many journals are making their publication open access, for instance, and are trying to encourage their people. But I've also seen some scientists that do not share data because they want to have that publication, even if it's data on patients. So that's something that needs to change. But it is, overall, the trend is positive in many European countries for sure. In other parts of the world, less. The harder part is to change, and I've seen it in my research, the professional identity. So many people in academia and scientists, even if they're not in academia, even if they're in the private sector, scientists, engineers identify themselves as the problem solvers. So they want to be the one who solves this problem alone, if possible, or with their team, with the people they know. If it's someone coming from a hackathon that they've never heard or a crowdsourcing platform, like why, like then where's the credit? Solution seeker, that people can be happy and excited about innovation, even if they're not part of the group that innovated the solution itself. And for COVID-19, I want to stress it because it's really important. We all need to seek solutions, but all of us will invent the vaccine. Not all of us, like there will be few, but we all need to help that happen. And I think feel a part of this heroic mission. If we're solution seekers, that's more than enough. So that mindset shift requires some work. So that's, I would say, the good and the bad news, kind of my answer.
Thank you, H. We will get back to you in the very end to hear your lesson or your biggest takeaway on this COVID-19 situation, either personal or business-wise.
It's an interesting that you mention it, H or Hila. It just feels strange, yeah.
I know.
Hila is
Dr. H, if you want.
Hila.
H, yeah, exactly. Good to go, yeah. Is how, you know, you have people who are coming in to solve problems, and there's very much that you stole my baby, you know, concept. Like, oh no, I've been working that for years. Yeah. You couldn't have come up with a better solution in a weekend. Yeah. Rubbish. You know, no credibility. You haven't come through the traditional gates, the traditional routes, right?
Yeah. Where have you published about it? Show me your credentials.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to bypass that. We need to kind of zoom out of the how we're used to doing work and really think about the bigger why. We have an important why now, so we need to like forget about the way we used to work and focus on why we want to work and solve this.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Thanks, H. Thanks, Hila. We're going to head over to a regular on the show, Alain Bindels. He is the head of innovation, facilitation, and digitalization at Roche Group, the large pharma and med tech extraordinaire organization. We had him earlier on in our streams during the hackathon, and he shared a really powerful and emotional story of his experience with COVID, actually. So again, another call to see that video, go back in the video streams, probably 20 videos ago, to go and see. But Alain, good evening. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday afternoon.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear us okay? Can you see us all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're struggling to hear you a little bit, Alain. Alain? All right. Yes, that's a lot better. That's a lot better. Awesome. Should we give it a go, or we have to move on and try you at the end, Alain?
Yeah, no, please go ahead.
All right, mate. I think let's move on to we'll come back to you at the end, okay? Let's jump straight over to Montserrat.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Montse from Barcelona, from BioCat. And I'm really glad to be here, and I'm really glad that you have invited me to join you, because this is an exciting time. So yeah, thank you for having me here.
Cool. So let's give you an introduction. You are Scientific and International Relations Director at BioRegion of Catalonia.
Exactly.
So we will ask you the same questions. How can public sectors, academia, and businesses work together post-COVID?
Yeah, well, the good thing about it, I mean, I'm going to join to share good news, bad news also, but the good news about it is that there were already some of those paths and instruments already in place, so they can collaborate, and then there are a lot of things that have to be changed after COVID, but from my perspective, both from the government, which I work as also for universities and research area, and also for BioCat, my understanding is that there were already some instruments in place to help that. So it's important to have a culture of the ecosystem. It's important to have institutions connecting, joining dots for the human capital, supporting structure. So all that put together is already pieces for this big scheme of collaborating universities, academia in general, governments, and companies. So in this scheme, let's say, we have that universities are really, or knowledge generating organizations are really important because they provide skill supply, they provide innovation, they provide democracy also, they provide human capital. So it's linked really the impact. And when we talk about impact, this is the good thing about it. When everybody has to talk about their impact in this regime is where you change a little bit our positions as professionals and we try to collaborate to make that happen. So the impact is the word for the future on that regard. And then we have this kind of universities that are knowledge producers that also orchestrating these dots. They facilitate regional interaction. And then we have the governments that have a strategy, that they are initiators. They have a regulatory role. They have also funding role, hopefully, not always, but hopefully. And we have the companies that have their internal R&D producers, and they observe internal knowledge, external knowledge, and they also provide for challenges and demands. And this is exactly what happens with one of the projects that we have, one of the programs that we have in BioCat, which is a clear case of collaboration between knowledge providers and companies. It's like a matchathon, but it's ongoing for 3 years so far. So it's the Open Innovation Forum. And in this forum, what we have is all universities working together in a table, looking for the challenges, the requests from companies, what they need as solutions. And then they put together their resources, their assets, and then they go together to visit the companies and see if they can provide this technology with their own assets in the universities or the research institutions. So this is a nice example, and this has been really, really successful with hundreds of meetings so far done. And this has really changed because of COVID. So the nice thing in all this program is having, even if it's once in a year, you know, a physical meeting in which you can see each other, language connect. But then we have shifted it all to, of course, online. And the good thing about it is that I think that in the future, it's going to be kind of hybrid, blended system, because we are getting the good things and the bad things about every world, let's say, and the best of both worlds. And this has come after a terrible time, a terrible crisis, but this is probably something good coming out of that. So the collaboration, the open resources, the shared platforms, and the interest really to work together just to make it, you know, better next time, to create something together. So that's the point of it. I think we can collaborate having that in mind.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very well said, Montserrat. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Now, remember, we are asking all of our wonderful guests that one question, the fateful question: what have you learned personally from this COVID period? And, you know, it can be personal learning or professional learning. It can be a learning about what we're talking about right now, but we want to hear that from you. That one takeaway. You have an audience. They are listening. What do you want to tell them and share with them? But we'll come back to you at the end to hear your thoughts on that.
Now we have with us 3 of the program managers.
We do.
EU versus virus.
Let's jump over to Renata. Renata, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, dears. Well, thank you for having me second time.
Yeah, we love to.
It's a pleasure.
You were the PM for Academia and R&D, is that correct?
Yes, amazing.
Quite a title.
Of a lifetime.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, hopefully for a lifetime. We won't have to do this kind of stuff again. But my question to you then is, you know, again, how are the public sectors, academia and business working together right now and going forward? How do you see them doing that? What are your tips and tricks to that?
Well, we did had something in mind, and we tried to realize it during the matchathon, and it worked. So I can draw some conclusions. Being in academia now and being a former banker before, I was somehow doing the bridges between among actually these stakeholders in this big ecosystem, on personal level, then on some small scale projects. When I came to the matchathon, and I was with people with similar multidisciplinary and multi-domain interests and capabilities. So that was something that is different than usual. Not siloed, not single disciplinary, even though experts are needed, of course, in single disciplines. Then the purpose was somewhat clear, and complex adaptive systems say you need to align the purpose, collective and individual purposes. And here it was the case with the Machathon, but also with other endeavors and of this kind. So there was also purpose. And being present in all these triangles, so Monte, Hila, and all my colleagues on the Machathon, they were like hovering in different domains, because life is very much multidisciplinary, and we need such an approach to life, not single, but multi-cross fertilization, inter-transdisciplinarity, and so on. And that's why I believe that what is needed for this world to be able to go and co-evolve in this direction together, bottom up, top down, and laterally, I would say that it's the infrastructure. And this being built by the Machathon now, and now we can see even this week. So we were constructing everything. How will this flow go? How will these connections be made? How will this information flows go? And towards an end and purpose. And actually now they are functional bridges. They are functioning across sectors, and we have partners everywhere, some in between, some going back and forth. And we have amazing new uncoveries. Projects are coming, are offering to partners, to academia partners and others, some things they would like to offer for free or for testing. We have partners offering to partners. We have projects, partners offering to partners. So we have all directions. And actually, I believe that we have, except at least conceptually, and we tried it in this instance via the Machathon, designed some infrastructure for such collaboration. And that's why I was saying, and now we align also as professionals with voluntary effort, with the heart, and with the capabilities, with the brain, and that's I would say there lies a lot of hints and recipe how to continue.
Again, well put, Renata. Thank you for that, sharing those experiences, and I appreciate you sharing the real kind of action points that our audience at home can take from that and learn from that and implement that into their strategies. Because I have to mention that we are very much expecting these initiatives to be carried forward and copied and taken on, because this is all open source. What we're doing right now with this hackathon and these matchathons is there for others to take and lead from. Europe is setting an example right now, and we hope that other nations and other sort of regions will learn from this and continue to take it on. Thank you, Renata.
What we started, over to you, Berat. Just what we started with the Machathon, and actually my guests here, Montse and Hila and the colleagues, are multidisciplinary panels, and they are yet to prove this capturing of the concept, model, methodology. So thank you very much for this, all dear students.
Thank you so much. Cheers. And don't forget, we're going to come back to you at the end, answering the fateful question we asked all of our guests. What is your biggest learning from COVID-19?
Over to you, Berat. Welcome back. You are the program manager of the public partners. You know the question, how can academia, public sectors, and businesses work together from now on in the future and until the future, into the future?
What is the future? What is the bloody future?
What is the future?
I hope so. I hope so, that everyone will continue working afterwards together safely. My name is Berat Kjamili, and it's nice to be back here. I really enjoy being here, and it's like a habit nowadays. So thanks a lot for all good work and making this live stream wonderful. I want to thanks firstly to you, and then I want to thanks to everyone who was involved with the Machathon, with the hackathon, my team, public authorities, and my previous team, community in the hackathon. So when to answering your question, I met with that question when I was 18 years old. So I was born in North Macedonia, then I come to study in Turkey. But when I come to study Turkey, I had to get my papers. And I went to get my papers in the, governmental building. So guess what happened? So when I went to get my papers, of course, I couldn't get in the first day because there were like 1,000 people before me. The next day, I said, now I have to change it. Like I have to go a little bit earlier. Let's go around 6 a.m. I said. I went again to the governmental building to get my papers and to be officially a migrant in Turkey, but I couldn't get my papers because still again, there were like 1,000 people with me and only 100 people were accepted. So like being a migrant and experiencing this life, so I got to, you know, meet with all the governmental works when I was very young. And then in the third day, I went at 2 a.m. We slept on the street on that day with many people, many migrants. And you can imagine that that year, like 2011 and 2012, was the year when refugees started to come to Turkey, like in millions. So no one was expecting that many people. So the system wasn't prepared for that. And you know, me as 18 years old, in the third day, I get my papers, but this pop up a question to me, how we can solve this? And then I come up with the idea to start a website where people can get online papers and not to queue anymore, not to line anymore. And I went there to meet with the public authorities at 18 years old. Of course, at the first it was unsuccessful. Then I realized that I have to find a way how these, you know, public authorities can support my initiative and how I can integrate universities, how I can integrate private sector. Then we made a collaboration with all universities in Ankara, and we went to the Ankara security department, which you can imagine they are very bureaucratic. We went there, we get the support of the private sector, our university, other universities, and they agreed to start our website. And then, you know, I realized that working with public authorities is not impossible, but it's possible with collaboration of universities, private sector, and civil societies. And you know, right now the website we started has like 15 million users. I used it 2 times, and I also paid punishment for applying late. But anyway, so it solved the problems. I don't line anymore, you know, to get my papers. But here, then I met with the social entrepreneurship, and I become an entrepreneur. I realized that I'm an entrepreneur after starting the website. I didn't know what is entrepreneurship before. So then I also realized that entrepreneurship is really powerful. The civil societies are really powerful. And here in EU versus virus, we are universities, we are public sector, we are private sectors, and most importantly, we are here as entrepreneurs. And I think the way how these 4, you know, big players can work together is we should integrate entrepreneurs more into the process, let entrepreneurs to find the gaps, and let fill the gaps all together. So when an entrepreneur comes with a gap, you know, in a society, in a private sector, or as an hackathon, so this EU versus virus is an example how we can solve it. And I believe that, you know, this really happened to us. You know, at first the hackathon started by entrepreneurs in the different countries of Europe. Like I was founder of Turkish hackathon. You know, we have the people here from the other hackathons in Europe, and then all together we come up together here as European Commission, EU versus virus, and we brought all power together. And I believe this is an example how private sector, public sector, civil society, and entrepreneurs can coexist and work together.
Thank you, Berat.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Berat, that right now what we're doing is a good example and is a key example of how these different stakeholders can speak the same language because there's a common goal and there's a common hurdle to overcome. And, you know, I want to say something which I feel like is in a lot of people's minds right now. It's that we came to a crisis and the world looked upon the startup ecosystem to find a solution, or at least the startup ecosystem provided one. Berat, in your words, it's not impossible working with the public sector, huh? I know there's a few European commissioners watching this, but we've learned they've been a pleasure to work with, and you know what, have dispelled any stereotype, to me at least, around bureaucracy.
It takes some time, but it happens. So don't worry if it takes time.
Exactly. All good things take time, Berat. Isn't that true? Berat, we're going to come back to the end. Do not forget, we always ask this fateful question to all our wonderful guests. What is your greatest learning from the last 2 months and 2.5 months or so of COVID-19? But our last program manager on the list, and we're going to get Alain back in just after her. Karolina Emanuelson, the program manager of Private Partners. You are a familiar one on the show. 3rd time, I think. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's the 3rd time, and it's always a pleasure to be here. And topics have been different, which is good. The question is how can the public sector, the private sector, academia, and also the citizens work together? And of course, that's a question that needs some answers. And I know the other people here in the panel started with the good and the bad news, and I will give you the good news.
I love it.
Yeah, because what we
Swede.
sorry.
Just the Swedish.
yeah, that's the Swedish. And actually, this is a Swedish example because we have already started this work in Sweden. We have a government mission named Hack for Sweden, and I'm sure that some of you are already familiar with that.
Yep.
And Hack for Sweden, well, it's a government mission, and it's also a platform for citizen-driven innovation, where we have connected all sectors so they can work together. And the mission is to promote innovation through the use of open data and define challenges that are something that is affected both by the private sector, but also from the public sector, academia, and citizens. So how can these sectors work together, finding solutions to the challenges that we all are facing? And how can we work together to develop the welfare system that we have, both in Sweden, but also in other countries? So by doing that, by defining the challenges together, people and institutions and organizations are able to work together. And I think, I mean, what we see here in EU versus virus, we have one big challenge that we all want to solve together, which is the COVID-19 and the things that we see after that. It's the same thing. So I think the important thing to make it possible for all these sectors to work together is to have the challenges that we all can try to find solutions to. So, I mean, Hack for Sweden has been very successful, and we have almost 100 organizations coming both from the private sector and also from the public sector. And when we did Hack the Crisis Sweden, those organizations were also part of that, and we also managed to attract new organizations, both from the public sector but also from the private sector. And of course, I mean, the power it lies within the citizens, because they can see the challenges, and they can they have a lot of ideas, and they are creative, and they have knowledge and skills and experience, and they can bring that to the table. But we also have to have experience from the other sectors, like the private sector. They are they have a lot of tools that we need to solve the challenges, but and also if you look at the public sector, they have access to all this data. Well, they have the data that the other sectors need access to. So defining the challenges, I think that is the important thing, and that is also how these organizations and sectors can continue to work together.
Thank you so much, Karolina. Let's move over to Alain. I know you're in the call now, Head of Innovation and Facilitation and Digitalization at Roche. Roche. Never understood. No. Hi. So
I'm connected via 4G now. It's always difficult with Wi-Fi connections, right? So
perfect. Thank you.
Can someone fix Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
I mean, we're solving the problems. We're fixing the bug. But let's
hackathon just for that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been plenty over the years.
So Alain, the question is the usual one: how can we, or businesses and public sectors and academia? How do you say it?
The academia.
Academia, yeah. They work together from now on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be back, of course. I mean, it comes down to 3 points for me around mindset, new way of working, and young generation. And I will just explain 3 of them. So to come to the mindset, I think, Hila, you already made a referral to that, right? If we want to collaborate in a new way, every one of us, including you, me, everybody on the call, everybody on Facebook here, need to change the way we're thinking about collaboration. right? That's the first thing. And I think what I'm also trying to do at Roche since many years is, again, open your mindset. Don't be arrogant. Don't think you have all the knowledge. We're in a business, in corporate, we don't have all the knowledge. We need to work with startups and with academia. So again, stepping down from we know everything, let's collaborate and be open-minded to listen to other people. Second point is the new way of working. So I think what I have learned in 19 is that everything is possible with digitalization. Even in my company, we're a big corporate of 90,000 people. We are used to virtual working. And even in our company, we have difficulty working virtual and connecting and all of this. But again, through COVID-19, everybody saw, even people in governments, which are very conservative normally, you can actually connect through social media, through Zoom, through all these online platforms, and to collaborate. So I think everybody, it's a wake-up call for all the corporates, all the universities, all the governments. Digitalize the way you are working and improve the way of working. It's the only way. There's no way backward. It's only a way forward. Third point, young generation. Let's really empower the young generation and the startups of Europe. This is the future leaders of Europe, future generation that will push us. These people are using WhatsApp, they're using Zoom, they're using social media since many years. To all those companies, governments, corporates, hire young digital natives in your company, and they will make the digital transformation and the new way of collaboration working. So it's a big call out for everybody on the call, make digitalization work and really start doing it for real and not just as a buzzword, but do it for real. That's my message.
Alain, hire digital natives. I love
Yes.
it. Well said, well put. We need people hiring right now because the unemployment rates are going to go through the roof. So organizations that can, we urge you to do so. All right, Alain, we're going to come back to you in just a minute, mate. You know the order, you know the drill. We're going to come back with the one takeaway. Now we're looking for something preferably personal, something that humanizes you to our audience at home. And actually, before our guests start doing so, I want to ask everyone watching this right now, what has been your biggest learning from the last 2.5 months?
Write it below.
What is yours?
Oh.
We're buying you some time to think, guys.
Yeah, I think it's many things, I think.
If you could say one. You know, I asked them the same thing. One word, one sentence.
Yeah. No, it depends. Either it's personal or business-wise, but I recognize that, again, like empathy and people are easy. They are adaptable. Many people are adaptable. And I'm actually proud of myself who've been very adaptable, actually. So both personal and business-wise, seeing
there's a crossover.
Yeah.
Let's head back straight over to our first speaker, Hila. Hila, welcome back. H, as we like to call each other, because obviously we know each other on a personal level. Hila, what is your one learning, preferably in a word or a sentence?
Can I have 1.5?
Okay, we'll give you that.
You have to do something also like humorous or humanizing. So my 1 will be serious and the half will be a little bit. The 1 is that time is of the essence. And therefore, we need to accelerate innovation. Anyone who's interested in or sharing with me how they are thinking about accelerating the processes, since problems that we thought a week ago were important, this week are no longer as critical, there are new problems. So I'm really thinking that we got to think more about the pace of our processes and how to do it differently. So that's a serious one. The humorous one is I invented a new, maybe I did not invent, but please, I'm the only one who is doing this new fashion style, like business casual. I call it business PJ. So I'm really just PJ. It's like half business and half like jammies. I don't know. Where to go? If we can go to our offices afterwards and like wear whatever pants and be comfortable and just a nice blouse and that's it.
Business PJ, I love it. Actually, we are. No, I'm just kidding. Don't get up.
Don't stand up, Matt.
Always respect with the TV anchors, right?
Always. Yeah. I'm just wearing matching pinstripe things, you know, like.
But just whatever you feel like.
Yeah. But it's like when you start thinking about it, you can't unsee it in a way, you know, like I'm starting to look at everyone like, what are you really wearing? Are you looking great, like from top to toe or, yeah. Yeah, but thank you, H. And over to Montserrat. Are you with us?
Hi, yes. So, thank you. Yeah. There was a real risk to forget that people had legs. So that's important to remind that sometimes those have pajamas on. But yeah, what I some takes away, I mean, I try to gather it. It's how unpredictable the future is and how quickly we can adapt to what comes. So it can be helpful for whatever it comes, but of course we need to be prepared. So this is the serious thing. And then the personal thing is that in my organization, usually we have one Monday morning meeting. So we split it in two. So now we have the Monday for work, but the Thursday is for chit chat. So we can gossip a little bit on our everyday. And so that makes us care more about people because we are concerned about how they are dealing with the confinement. So, but this is important also, how everyone says, hi, how are you? And bye, keep safe. I like that about this time. I don't like the long hours with disease, one after the other. But I think this is a takeaway. So sometimes with the family, but also caring about the others. That's really important.
Mm-hmm. Montserrat, thank you, very well put. I appreciate that. I like that. It's true. We've heard a few people speaking about how they've almost forced their teams to get onto Instagram and like each other because then they can follow each other's lives. Because those meetings by the coffee machine, those lunches together, those Friday beers or whatever is your poison, those are obviously taken away from us now. So you are out of track with your colleagues' kids at school, the grandparents and everything, which really creates that family feeling. Yeah. Families eat together. We no longer do that in the office. So I like that. I'm going to take from that. Thank you for that, Montserrat.
And we know more about each other now than before.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a running thread to this too. Thank you again, Montserrat. All right, Renata, what is your big learning in a word or a sentence would be great. Thank you. Renata?
I'm trying to get this. Yeah, this is the downside. Am I hearing? Are you hearing? Are you seeing me? I'm going to go again, also like Hila started with the professional and the personal, whether it's funny, I don't know. So the professional one is that in the bank, in the academia, we are used to working in virtual teams, no problem. We quickly adapted. My students even started creating amazing things. And with the Matchathon, I got confirmed that everything is possible, even entire project beginning to end. So that's nobody can convince me that flights are needed, maybe just to be together. Otherwise, yeah. But then on the other side, you want to see these people, you want to be there because humanity, a person is a social being. And on the personal note, my 8-year-old also quickly adapting to homeschooling and everything, Zoom. Print screen when she doesn't want to write, rewrite from the screen. She says to me, okay, hackathon and matchathon and marathon, and what are you doing? She's asking, and but then it makes me think it really is a marathon, and it really is something that we need to reconceptualize and reconfigure for the new normal without being insisting to keep on as previously. So let's see where we want to go after this so disruptive thing that happened, and let's make it even better. Not try to insist as it was before, because magic happens. We are at the edge of chaos, and magic and innovation happens exactly when you are fighting for life and when you are trying to sustain it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Renata. Over to you, Berat. What is your biggest lesson from COVID-19 situation?
Thanks a lot. Actually, I'm a social entrepreneur, but I'm an economist at the same time, and I'm very realistic about the profit, interest, and etc. And when we were reading about the economics theories, we've always been told that it's always first our interest, not the others. Like this is what the economist theories usually teach us. But I saw during the COVID-19 that if as countries, if we think only about our interest, it turns out that we are in a bad condition if we think only about our interests. I think COVID-19 really teach us about how important it is to have a union and to be united with each other. And I also personally, like I was born in Macedonia, lived in Turkey and United States. So not a European Union country with, EU versus virus right now, I started to believe more to European dreams and European values. I think personally, what really affected me is that as an economist, I don't suggest that thinking about your own interest is always the best option. And secondly, for my personal case is that right now I believe to more European values and European Union, I would say.
Thank you, Berat.
Oh, there we go. Perfect timing. We always say we're in sync. We speak for each other sometimes. I love it. Thank you very much, Berat. Let's head over to Karolina. Karolina, what are your thoughts? And preferably in a sentence or less. No one ever listens to me, though.
Okay, running out of time. Well, okay, I will keep it short. Well, I think the biggest learning I have from this crisis, and also from the matchathon, and also from the hackathon, of course, is the importance of collaboration. Between people coming together, finding solutions to the situation that we are in right now. And if we collaborate across the borders, across sectors, and the normal situation that we usually are in, if we do that, we can also accomplish the best thing, amazing thing. And I think that is what's happening in the matchathon right now. We have created something unique, and that will help us through this crisis.
Thank you, Karolina. That was a great short sum up. Matt is going to do a sum up as well. But first, talk to you, Alain. What is your biggest lesson?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that has been said before. Great statements there. For me, there's two things that summarize for me. It's really when I woke up myself out of the nightmare, because I was myself personally affected, of course, as some of you know, by COVID-19. The words staying in my head was solidarity. And I think many of the participants today, they mentioned solidarity and helping each other, thinking about others. I think that's very important in today's world. Thinking how can we support society, but also colleagues, friends, family. Another thing is believing the only way that I got out of this nightmare myself is to focus on positivity and change. And I actually completely reorganized the summit that we're organizing on the 23rd of June. This was supposed to be face-to-face. It's now fully virtual with hundreds of startups. Your Council is a partner as well of this Innovation Summit. And I hope, of course, to see some of you there. But it's really believing in that positivity and focusing on those positive things that you can contribute as an individual. I think everybody here on the call, we all can make a positive contribution and focus on that. And I think if we all do that, get out of this crisis much stronger and much stronger together as a society and as a company and as an individual as well. So really take action yourself and don't be passive. Do something in your surrounding and really activate and focus on the positive change that you can make happen.
Thank you, Alain. That was a wonderful ending there, because I think it's so easy to think that, oh, it's just me, I don't matter in a big picture, but if everyone thinks like that, nothing will happen. So yeah, great. Thanks for bringing that up. And Matt, continue to the summary.
I will, yeah, and it's all ripples in an ocean, right? But if we all create waves, that will create larger waves and have an effect together. So to sum things up very quickly from H, tech is here to dismantle boundaries. We have heard that. Tech is reducing the frictions that existed pre-COVID. Embrace it. Business PJs. That's the new smart casual. Business casual. Business in your PJs. I loved it. She was wearing a dress from the top half and the bottom half, her PJs. It is Sunday after all. Don't always be in your PJs though. I feel like we should also promote people to get out of it. But at the same time, PJs are welcome. From Montserrat, focus on impact. People have legs. She was making a joke about, of course. Chit chat meetings instead of just team meetings. I think that's important for business owners and team leaders to take into consideration that now you need to not just give your one of your team members a bit of a budget to go out for dinner once a month or something, but think about how to set this up in a different way. How to create a team and keep a team is definitely something that is a new world and that is open for the taking. How to activate and keep virtual teams together. Thank you for that one. Renata, multidisciplinary crossing. That's what we need to see. You've had great experience of that. And I know that we have seen that in this hackathon and matchathon. People from many different backgrounds, different languages, socioeconomic statuses that could not be more diverse, creating fantastic solutions to problems we are all facing. That is an outcome I'm looking forward to seeing going forward. Of course, working with the public sector is not impossible from our dear friend Berat. Let entrepreneurs into the process. A call to action from him to policymakers to do that. It's true. Entrepreneurs are very much taking a role in changing policies going forward. And then from Karolina, define the challenges, citizen-driven innovation. And that's another call to action we've seen as well from Emil. He was saying that let cities become labs for city-driven labs, opening up your data to the civilians so civilian-driven innovation can thrive. Finally, again, Alain, thank you for joining us again. Having an open mindset, back to the beginning of the conversation. Don't think that you have all the answers. Don't think that your knowledge knows all. We need to fight this together. That is the overall narrative. Stay together. Now we're going to be back in an hour and 15 minutes with a nice final conversation with Jean-David, who is the director of, let me get his name up here, I got to get it right, director of the European Innovation Council and Task Force for the European Commission, Miguel Arias, the Global Entrepreneurship Director of Telefonica, the large telecommunication provider in Europe, and also with Niklas Sterianas, Head of Account Managers, Specialist Support as well from the European Commission. So some final closing words from this Sunday. Thank you for joining us from our live studio in Oslo, Norway. My name is Matt C. Smith, and this is
Off the Dog. Thank you so much, and I see you in a bit.
We'll see you in an hour and 15. Feel free to dance it off with us. Alain knows the drill. So does Karolina. Yes. Thank you to our guests. We'll see you. Goodbye for now.